Haunted rooms for rent. This happened in Toronto, Ontario. One chilly January day in 1886, a widow and her daughter moved their possessions into their new home. They were looking forward to living in the roomy upper floor flat they had just rented in an old house on Gerrard Street in Toronto. The next morning, they were moving their things out of the house as fast as they could carry them. Their first night there had been absolutely terrifying. The first thing they noticed was how cold the place was, even though they had managed to get a good fire going in the fireplace. Tired, they snuggled under the bedclothes and eventually fell asleep. But not for long. Just before midnight, they were awakened by a loud banging and slamming sounds downstairs. And then, even though their bedroom door was shut, a blast of wintry air blew through the room, lifting the blankets right off their bed. The mother went out into the hall and called downstairs to Mr. Farrell, the owner who lived on the lower floor, asking him to shut the doors, but he had no idea what she was talking about. Worried that her imagination was playing tricks on her, the mother went back to bed, calmed her daughter down, and said they could try to get some more sleep. But sleep never came. A while later, a dark, mysterious shape drifted over the bed, leaving them trembling with fear, as did the thumping footsteps they heard moving along the hall. Mother and daughter clung to each other until dawn. Then they rose, got dressed, packed their bags, and they left, telling Mr. Farrell that nothing could make them stay another minute in the upstairs flat that they had hoped to call home. This one is called The Phantoms of the Opera House, and this happened in Orella, Ontario. No one has seen the ghost that haunted the Gordon Lightfoot Auditorium at the century-old Opera House in Orella. Unlike Sam at the Planetarium Theatre in Calgary, these spirits prefer to remain invisible, but they don't remain silent. One loves to play the grand piano. No one knows whether it's male or female. But every now and then, when the auditorium is empty, its haunting tunes fill the air. Its presence has frustrated technical staff who have heard the melodies, usually sad ones, drifting toward them as they work elsewhere in the building. No matter how quickly they rush into the auditorium to catch the piano-playing culprit, the music stops, and the instant they show up, and they never find anyone seated at the instrument on the stage. A few workers have been upset enough by their encounters with the invisible keyboard player that they avoid being alone in the place, especially late at night, a time the Phantoms prefers for giving its performances. There have been reports of other spooky specters performing in the auditorium late at night. Again, the performers were invisible, but they definitely were not quiet. A blast of cold air coming from the orchestra pit announced their presence, followed by the sounds of laughter, clapping, and shouts of "Bravo!" It's as if an invisible theater troupe were taking a curtain call before a very appreciative audience. But there were no actors on stage, and the seats where the applauding audience should be were all empty.